So today we are here to record another episode of our podcast. I'm here with Paul and I've got a few questions for him to take it back to before expat was a thing, what he did for work, how long he'd been in Dubai. It's stuff that we've spoken about before in brief, but we've never really dived into it. So I'm looking forward to getting some questions to him and seeing what happened before expat. So what did you do before you decided to start your own business?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
Yeah, well, I've been looking forward to having the chat actually because it's kind of nice to like cast your mind back and like relive some of those memories and remind yourself of like what you've done and how you got there kind of thing. But I guess before expat, I was with a large electromechanical company as a project manager because that's what everyone said you do when you come out to Dubai. Put down the tools, go and put a collar on, go out on a job and point your finger and tell people what to do. And you feel like, yeah, that's a step forward in my career. So I went into that, went on some massive projects, first of all in Abu Dhabi, driving up to Abu Dhabi every day on an airport. And I was in charge of several hundred people, didn't know what I was doing. I was looking at fire alarm systems I'd never done before. I was purely AC before, so I was really thrown in at the deep end. I was looking at full MEP. It was good. It was a good learning curve. However, it was not the same kind of immediate customer satisfaction that I was getting. So I was going to work for, I was there for about a year and a half maybe, and you never once got that kind of customer satisfaction. So I wasn't really enjoying it because I was just a number basically on this huge project. Although I had a lot of people to look after, there was thousands on a site. So you were basically lost in the project. Didn't feel like I really had that ownership and responsibility, even though there was a lot of people under me. So I didn't really enjoy it. The drive also got tiresome. It's extremely long hours, 6 days a week, which I wasn't used to from being back home. I eventually got a transfer to the Bulgaria Islands project with the same company in Dubai. So I felt, okay, cool, this is good. Nice project, really prestigious name. Get involved in this. And it's closer to home as well. Again, I enjoyed being on a large project and I enjoyed telling everyone I'm on this big project. But same as Abu Dhabi, I was a number in amongst thousands, even though I had a large responsibility and we were achieving a lot. You never once got any sort of satisfaction from the job in contracting on projects that size.
But is that because you are there through the build stage of the job? And like when we get to hand a job over now to a client and you get to witness how, you know, they see it, how they like it. You never got that because you're just, as you said, a number that delivers a building or construction phase. And then you're on to the next.
Yeah.
You don't get to see the client hand it over or witness them when they, and also it's not personal to them because it's a building that is ultimately going to be sold off for something else. It's not their own.
Yeah, exactly that. And contrast to the UK, every day, because I was running a service department, every day you got job satisfaction. Every day you had customer interaction. Whereas here, you're working for your senior management and everyone is under so much pressure in Dubai to deliver these projects so quickly that even if you did achieve something and you thought that was good, your senior management are under so much pressure that whatever you did wasn't good enough. It has to be done quicker. And you go again onto the next thing. So while that pressure was good for a while, when you did feel like personally you're achieving something, you never got any recognition for it. I never got any self-satisfaction really out of the job. And so that became quite tiresome. And I think because the projects weren't being run in such an efficient way to what I was used to in the UK as well, I started to challenge the senior management as well, which in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done, but also I feel proud of myself for actually sticking up for myself on occasions because you would get battered in construction. It's not a nice industry out here. Because it's so fast paced, because everyone's under so much pressure. So it can get actually quite heated, especially in meetings. And I was probably one of the only people that stuck up for myself. And that ultimately led me to leaving the company in the end and not on such great terms, actually.
So you did that from pretty much when you got to Dubai. In which year was that?
Yeah, so that was in 2014, 1st of January. Flew overnight on the New Year's Eve.
And then you started doing that sort of work as soon as you landed here?
No, 3 months later, actually. Yeah, I had 3 months of looking for a job.
Right.
Wife Laura was a teacher, so at the time we got a teacher accommodation, 1-bed apartment in Albasha. I had 3 months of basically going to the mall, getting on free Wi-Fi and just applying for jobs after job after job. But
so going back to that phase, I mean, I've been in a similar situation there, and I think a lot of people have that take the risk of moving here. You was way earlier than me, but during that time, was, you know, even before the work or business or anything was even a thought, did you even think that Dubai might have not worked out for you? Because I mean, 3 months is a long time to be looking for a job, right? It's not, you know, it sounds quite short, but 3 months is a hell of a long time to be doing nothing.
I actually found the job after 2 months, but I had to wait a month for visa process and everything like that. So I was bored in those 3 months. The first 2 months, I was worried that maybe I wouldn't find something, but we kind of just were headstrong about it, that something will come up, and it did. Through a contact that we knew out here, actually, is how I got the introduction to the company.
And back then, was the job market different to what it is now? Was it a lot easier to find work back then as a sort of fresh expat from the UK going into construction?
Well, that's the only time in Dubai that I've ever had to look really seriously for a job. And while it was hard because you were just basically emailing companies facelessly, you never really got any reply. And I think that's still the case now. I feel like you have to have a contact so you can get an introduction into a company.
Definitely.
Actually, interesting enough, in that time when I was looking for a job, I actually had a job offer from one of our competitors now.
Right.
And I always remember going in and seeing the guys, really lovely guys, really good setup in the company. And I always remember thinking, God, if I hadn't have left the UK, I had this plan to set up a company. And if I did, it would have been like this. And I always remember feeling like, I've missed the boat here because I'm in Dubai. I can't start a company. I can only work for a company. So I recall seeing this company and thinking, yeah, that's really good setup. If I was to do something, I'd do it like that. They offered me a job actually, and I declined it because the salary was extremely low for the job responsibility that was there. So unfortunately, I didn't join them and went on to this larger company.
So back in 2014, then you said you got the job, you didn't enjoy or get any satisfaction from that. How long did you see that out for and sort of put up with that until either you knew it was coming to an end or you made a decision to make some change? Like, how long was that period?
Yeah, well, it was best part of 4 years. But in the final year, being on this large construction site, working 12 to 14 hours, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, it took its toll on me. And probably for the last 6 months, I was in quite a bad sort of mental state as well. It's starting to affect home life with my wife as well. I was actually looking back on it, I was actually seriously depressed because I hated everything about Dubai. Hated my job, thought I'd achieved nothing, thought this was the end for me. I was looking at the senior management in the company and I was like, well, if I have a career progression, that's what I've got to look forward to, and it didn't look good. So yeah, ultimately I resigned from the position following a month of night shifts, which were typically around 16-hour shifts.
Right.
And enough was enough.
Yeah.
It was literally every night. There was no night off. It was just all the way through. I think it was Ramadan.
Yeah.
We put on night shifts, and it was a full month of night shift. And not that I'm scared of hard work, but the way that we were treated and put under pressure and under-resourced, I couldn't get on with it. And there was no understanding from the senior management. And again, I challenged them because things had to be managed differently.
Yeah.
And that wasn't appreciated. So I resigned from that job. With a baby on the way as well, so I was under immense pressure.
Yeah. So during that time, obviously you and Laura came here as you two, and you since now have two fun little boys.
Yeah, that, great little
that keep
boys.
you busy.
Yeah.
So they came along during this time as well. So not only was the pressure and the stress of work amounting to you as a man.
I resigned from the job without another job on course, but my mental state was just so bad at that point that I had to leave.
Yeah.
The parting words from one of my senior management was, when I went to see them and say, look, I'm done. Thank you very much for the experiences. I've learned a lot. See you again. The parting words were, right, so your unborn baby's got an unemployed dad.
Wow.
And that just summed it up for me. Yeah.
Firstborn.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And I walked out of there like, I couldn't believe what I just heard, but it just confirmed that I need to get out of this environment.
Yeah.
I had another contact that put me in touch with this smaller sort of MEP company, so I could go into a more senior position, have more of a say in how the company's run and how we operate. And That was good to begin with. So I had about a month or two break, which was really good for me. I felt refreshed, and I started with this new smaller company.
So by this time, how long? So when you arrived in 2014, you worked for this first company for what was that? 3 years?
Best part of 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So then fast forward to that, you had a short break.
Yeah.
First was born.
Yeah.
And then moved into this other role in a smaller company, but ultimately doing the same type of work.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing. Although this was limited to air conditioning and ventilation, so it was more my bag. I knew this inside out. This was easy for me. We were working on big projects, but we had smaller scope. So we could achieve things. We could hit milestones easier. We had a good team, got on really well with the directors. We had some nice projects coming up. From the first sort of few months, it was really positive. I was on a better salary, and I was had more of a senior position, so I had more of a say in how things were run. And I was ultimately enjoying it.
So then how long did that carry on for? Because obviously that was, I know that the end story to that, but there is a bit of a story to how that all ended. How long did you stay in that company for? And what was the experience towards the end and what happened there?
Yes, so I was there for best part of 2 years, maybe just over 2 years. But towards the end of it, being a smaller contractor rather than the first company, it was a massive contractor, we were getting knocked for payments or delayed for payments, which then, as a small company, had a huge impact on the timeliness of how they paid salaries. So things were delayed, things were not paid at all, and then you'd get half a salary, then you might get another bit later on, and now you're a month in behind because they've been slow to catch up. So that took its toll. But I was in a smaller company, which I appreciated. I was in a more senior position, so I had more of a say on how we operate and how we work and how we cost manage. So we implemented some things to try and help and get some payments through, and we were grinding it out. The issue came on this project that we were on. We were coming to the end of it. The next project, coincidentally, was going to be for my previous employer.
Right.
And this was quite a big project. Now, they had said, you got this project, but we don't want Paul Haddo working on it.
Because you'd left them.
Yeah.
And they knew that you'd working for this company now.
Exactly, yeah. So they didn't want me to project manage this scope of work for them.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, great. At first, it was kind of laughable, and I thought, how petty. And then I realised that we actually didn't have another project for me to move on to.
Right.
So I thought, well, without another project, and with them, the company can't risk not taking this job because of me. So the company took the job, and we couldn't see any other projects. And because of the money struggles, one of the things that I suggested to this company was, well, why don't you focus on domestic stuff? We have the team, we have the resources, we have the knowledge. We can actually do domestic work similar to what we're doing now. There'll be no delays in payment because we're there on the day, we get paid, we've got a card machine, and we can turn over a lot of jobs rather than looking at one big one. And that was just squashed straight away. No, we're going for the big contracts. So with that squashed, I had it in my mind, that could be a business idea. It was what I was doing in the UK. Perhaps I could start it in Dubai, but I didn't know how to. No one knows how to start a company when you come here fresh. I had no idea. I've only ever been employed by people. So I sat down with the directors and I said, look, I can clearly see there's no projects next year. The one that we do have that you guys want that's going to keep you afloat, they don't want me on it. So what are we going to do here? There's going to have to be some changes here. We need to win a project really quickly, or I'm going to have to go. And they said, yeah, well, Paul, we were going to actually speak to you about that. You're on the highest salary in the company. We can't risk putting you on this job and losing it for the longevity of the company. So we are going to have to make you redundant.
Wow.
And I remember walking away from it feeling like, right, that's it, cool. I'm going to start my own company. Walked back to the site office. And one of the project managers that was also working with me, we had been discussing about setting up a company. And I started writing down what I'd call now a business plan.
Yeah.
It absolutely wasn't. It was basically working out how many AC units I'd have to service to pay my bills.
Yeah.
But I started writing on the whiteboard in our office, and we were chatting about it, and we agreed we were going to start this company.
Right, okay.
And the difference was I was now made redundant, but he was still employed with the company, and he could move on to this other job. So he had the comfortable situation of continued work, whereas I didn't. I had to do something.
It was kind of, you were forced into it in a way.
Yeah.
You had the decision, you had the idea, and it was almost like the path was pointing you in that way.
Yeah. But, you know, even as we do, we have ideas and we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then you calm down and you maybe have a chat with your wife at home and you're like, actually, that might not work.
Yeah.
And so that was exactly what happened to me. I went home. It's like, right, I'm going to start this company, going to do this, going to do that. And then as I sort of calmed down and chatted about it with Laura, I was like, how do I even start a company?
Yeah.
What do I do? No one knows my name. How am I going to get work? How am I going to get enough work to, you know, sustain our family?
So then from the point of being made redundant to the point of going and doing the first job, obviously I know what's involved in that space there. I don't think a lot of people know probably quite the ups, the highs, the lows, the emotion that you went through during that time. But touch on there from getting made redundant to making the decision you was going to do it, to then ultimately advertising for work and then going to the first job. Like what happened in that space and how long was that from the redundancy to that point of being ready to go?
Well, as I say, from being made redundant, walking back to the office and starting to do my business plan on the whiteboard, I was on a high because I was thinking this is what I'm going to do. So immediately I started thinking about it and planning it. Quickly realised I'm going to need quite a bit of money here for a trade license, which is expensive, your insurances that you need, a vehicle, all the tools, advertising, shirts, paperwork, workbooks, service sheets, everything that goes with it. And it all started adding up. And so I spoke to the other PM that was with me at the time. His name's Matt, and maybe he'll watch this at some point. But anyway, he's such a clever guy, and he helped me out a lot at that point. And we came up with some great ideas. And then it came to the fact that we need to put some money in here. And I'm seriously have to go for this because I don't have another option unless I want to go and work for someone, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. So I'd said to him, right, this is how much money it's going to be that we both need to put in. And you know, you get a gut feeling whether someone is 100% with you and, you know, really going to go for this and someone that's not. And I got the gut feeling that he wasn't. And so when it came down to the fact that, right, you're going to have to resign, you're going to have to put some money in, we're going to have to go for this. That's the point where he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not 100% in this. And I was like, well, I am, and I have to go for it.
So
this took the wind out of my sails because now I haven't got enough money to start the business.
That's where I was going to go. So you've gone from planning on this amount of money from you, this amount of money from him, to suddenly now you need all of the money.
Yeah.
And you've got no one with you on that journey, which we spoke about before, and how tough a single business owner company could be. Yeah. With, you know, especially if you're two people that work well together and you can support each other with the highs and the lows. Yeah. You now are on your own with no job. Yeah. And you now need to double the amount of money and also carry on with the momentum by yourself without anyone else there to back you.
And by the way, at this point, I don't have any money because the company can't afford to pay salaries. Right. So I have no money. We'd recently moved into a villa that we were renting, a very small villa, and I couldn't afford to put AstroTurf down in the garden for our 1-year-old boy. So I had to borrow 3,000 dirham off of my dad to do that. And he's paid back now with interest.
Shout out, Brian.
So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so it was a real struggle. And so now I haven't got the money, and now I'm thinking I can't do it. I actually started applying for other jobs. Right. And anything I applied for, deep down, I knew I didn't really want it. I knew I wanted to start this business, but I just can't afford it. So as I looked into it, again, having failed to find a job, I looked into starting the business again, and literally how much money would I need? Could I get a loan? No, because I'm not employed. Do I know anyone that would lend me the money or partner up with me business-wise? No. And so I worked out exactly what I needed. And I was having a chat with my dad, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And it's not like my dad's flush with cash anyway. And I said, look, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need to do this somehow. And he was like, how much do you need? And I told him, and he was like, all right, I'll front you the money. I was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah. He said, I'm sure you'll pay me back at some point. No pressure, but if it helps you out, go for it. So I was like, okay, as long as you're sure. So I sold my car, a few other bits and pieces that I had to put in my part of it. My dad gave me the rest, and went down to Virtual Zone, had a chat down there, got the trade license, actioned, and bought a truck, bought a load of tools, got t-shirts made, got service report books made, and I was kind of ready to go. I wanted to look like a proper company. I didn't want to look like a one-man band from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I made sure before I even told anyone that I was doing this, I had everything in place so that if I went and did a job, it looked like a company had done this and I was just sent to do the job.
Right.
Yeah.
So just on that there, I think you very easily skipped over, I went down to VirtuZone and got a trade license. Now,
Yeah.
I know, being now a business owner in Dubai, that is not just going down to VirtuZone and getting a trade license.
Yeah,
not anything to do with them, but the process and the rules and regulations that the hoops that you must have had to jump through during that time without going into it must have been staggering.
I mean, it's a lot of unknowns because, as I said earlier, you don't know how to start a business. You don't know what you need to do. And I always said when I was discussing it with Laura, there's loads of red tape, there's loads of hoops to jump through. I don't know what to do. I just can't do it out here. I wanted to do it in the UK. And that was always what I went back to because that's what you know. And it was only one night, between not being able to find a job and deciding I'm going to do it. I can distinctly remember it was just before we went to bed. And I said to Laura, I was like, right, fuck it. I'm going to do it. And that was it. And I didn't go back. I've been flitting back and forth and I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
We knew she was working at the time. She could put food on the table if I earned zero. So I was like, right, Dad said I can have the money. Fuck it. I'm going to do it. And so I went for it. But yeah, I'd always heard this advert from VirtuZone on the radio, start your business, with them and advertise some ridiculously low price, which you never get ever, even now. And so I went down there and I chatted with Gary at the time that worked down there. He was really, really helpful. There was still a lot of stuff that I had to produce, but ultimately it came down to me just handing over a bunch of money to get a trade license in place. There was a little bit of an issue at first because I thought of the name Expat AC, driving along one day, just like bouncing these names off of Laura, and this one kind of stuck, Expat AC. I was like, yeah, I like that. And then when Gary told me, no, you can't have that name, it's not allowed. And I was like, oh, that's kind of the name I was settled on. And I was like, oh, geez. I was like, right, what can I do then? And Gary at the time said, just use your initials on the trade license. And I was like, no, it sounds awful. PBH. What's that mean? Other than my name. He was like, no, it's fine. Then you can brand as Expat AC.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That only costs an extra 15,000 dirham to copyright Expat AC. So I was like, okay, right. So we went down that route and you used the brand name. But yeah, that was just one of the things. And I've skipped past that quickly, but that probably went on for about 2 weeks, that conversation. And I was panicking, thinking, oh my God, the name that I set on I can't use. But we got over that and eventually got it in hand.
Was that the first bit of cash that you handed over for the trade license?
Yeah.
So by that point, when that was done, you're in.
Yeah.
That is now, you have a business. Everything else that comes after that was more like accessories to the business to get you your image portrayed and the way you wanted to operate.
That's it, yeah.
So once you got all of that in place, trade license done, uniform, service sheets, a vehicle.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, the Ford Ranger.
Yeah, that served us well. That
did.
We almost made money on that.
Exactly, that was a good car. That was you ready to start.
Yeah.
So you had your Ford Ranger pickup truck with your tools in the back.
Yeah.
Had your trade license, your service sheets, your uniform on.
Yeah.
Once you got to that point, then what happened? How did you then get to your first job? How did you then, start rolling with jobs coming in, people contacting you, spreading the name about the business? Like, where was that then from now you've got everything ready to go?
Yeah.
What then happened? What was the strategy to get going?
Well, I had no money to do any sort of advertising or marketing. So literally the only thing I could do was speak to friends and say, can I come round and service your AC free of charge? All I would ask, if I do a good job, can you just tell your friends? So they were like, yeah, okay. So I did a few jobs in that regard, and they were kind of technically my first jobs, but they were free. But that might have been like one in a week. And so there was a real weird sensation that I felt like I've set up a business. I've got everything set up. I've got a company name. I've got a trade license. I've got everything I need to do the business, but I haven't got any work. So I actually haven't got a business, but on paper I have. So it's a really weird feeling. I'm sort of like proud, but then at the same time was like really worried because I was like, well, now I've got to do some work. How do I even do that? I've only ever worked for other companies where the work is already there.
Yeah.
How do you get them?
So you've spent all of this money. You got no money left.
Yeah.
You're now working for free as well, which is, as we know, counterproductive, but it needs to be done. So then, within the first month, there must have been times, even 6 months, where you were constantly doubting this.
Yeah.
Is this going to work?
Yeah.
You know, what did that 6 months look like? When did it get to a point where you thought this could work?
Yeah.
I'm now at a point where I can
Yeah.
self-sustain off this,
Yeah.
you know, income or work or what was coming in.
Yeah.
Like where was that was it within 6 months or a year?
Well, I always looked at it like, I'm going to treat this as if I work for a company. I'm not going to treat this as this is my business. If I got a job, I'll get up at 10 maybe, relax around the house for a bit and just see if the phone rings. I always treated it like I was employed. So I would get up at 5:45, get ready, go down the gym, finish the gym in enough time as if I was going to get to my job for 8 o'clock, but only there wasn't a job. So I can remember, and this was a daily routine, go to the gym, all done, work gear on, walk out the gym, get in the truck and sit in the truck and go on Facebook. And I would scroll all of the community pages in Dubai and look for someone that says, AC's broken, I need some help. Or I've got an issue with my plumbing, I need some help. I need a picture hanging up, I need some help. In fact, one of the most, I say embarrassing, but it did get me in with some AC work, but there was somebody that posted about hanging some pictures up. And I was like, I haven't got any work to do. So I messaged them, I can help you out. And I thought, it's just a foot in the door. I can tell them that I do AC when I'm there. Maybe I'll get a job off of it. And I turned up and it was one of Laura's friends, my wife's friends. And I was like so embarrassed. I was there to hang some pictures for 150 dirham. And this is Paul that's meant to have set up the business and, you know, going to do something good. And, you know, I'm hanging pictures for 150 dirham.
I think
for
as
someone that we knew as well. It was so embarrassing.
As you said many times before, it's moments like that you look back on now because it was a foot in the door.
Yeah.
And you're never ever, when you're starting a business, you're never too proud to do something for money. When it really matters and you're in control of your own income, your own revenue, you will do anything for money in them early stages.
Another funny one, actually, it was in my community. I'd messaged someone in these early days, had no jobs to do, messaged someone because they'd said they had a problem with their plumbing under the sink.
Were you?
And and you know, plumbing isn't my forte, but I was like, I'll give it a go. So I said, yeah, come and help. And all the time I'm thinking, even if I don't solve it, I'm just going to tell them I do air conditioning and I'm the best at air conditioning, you've got to use me. So even if further down the line, they get in touch, all the better. And I must add, this was December that I started the company.
Yeah.
And I knew if I start it in December, January, is a good enough time for me to get my feet on the ground. So that when the weather heats up, at least a few people know my name. So I knew that I was going to be doing some random jobs to begin with.
Yeah.
But I went to this plumbing job and there was a bottle trap under the sink that just like O-ring had worn and it was just leaking when they used it. And of course, I have no spares, nothing. I haven't got any money to keep any spares with me. And so I was like, I know what I'll do. I drove home because we're in the same community. We've all got the same stuff. I took off the bottle trap of my home, took off the O-ring, cleaned it up, went back round there, put the O-ring on, screwed it back on, good as gold, and it fixed the problem.
Was Laura at work at this point?
Yeah. So then when she came home, I had to then explain that we probably now need to call a plumber to fix our problem. But it got the job done and let them know that I can fix something first time, even if I had to think outside the box. But I also do AC, here's a flyer, here's my number, give me a call if you need. So I was doing all sorts of random stuff just to get my foot in the door.
And I think it's that, like we spoke about this so many times before, that it's that type of resilience and willingness to go and do something that at the time you don't even think there's nothing wrong with it because someone wants a job doing, you've got the skills to do it and they're willing to pay you for it. Whether that be servicing an AC unit or hanging a picture on the wall, at that point of starting a business, you will do anything. You know, that we've both been through very similar, you more so
and
than
at
me.
any time as well. You know, I can recall being down the park with Laura and the kids on a Friday morning, and back then Friday was the weekend. Just get down the park, pushing the kids on the swing, the phone rings, and I'm like, phone's ringing. Pick up as a client because they've got a problem. It's a Friday morning. Oh, I don't suppose you're working today. I've got a problem. Like, yeah, certainly. And I have to tell Laura and the kids, sorry, I've got to go. Yeah,
but these are the sacrifices that you need to make when starting a business. So, so this is in now winter of sort of 2018 to 2019, isn't it? That sort of December, January period. From 2018 to 2019. So
that's right,
as we're now into 2019, you know, you're doing various random jobs. Obviously, you would have then felt as April, May and June started coming along, that's when we as a business now are notoriously getting really busy.
Yeah.
So you would have felt that as a smaller one-man band back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what point did you already know by that point that work was coming in a lot quicker in the earlier months, or did it take until that summer to really get going?
Yeah. It was kind of strange because although I knew the work would pick up in the summer, I didn't know when. I didn't have any experience. I didn't know how fast it would come. But in the January, which was kind of my first full month, I equaled the salary in terms of income that I did in my previous job. But only this time I got paid. And so I was kind of like, I haven't really been that busy. I've kind of done random bits and pieces. I've done loads of stuff for free. I've done loads of stuff half price. And I kind of made okay money to be able to, say to Laura, yeah, look, I can pay for the shopping. I can pay for the rent. Like, this is okay. And so just in that first full month, I was like, I can do okay here. Imagine what it's like when I'm busy every single day. That came a hell of a lot quicker than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So I can remember as early as March, I was working 6 days a week because I was so busy. It then moved into the point, April, May, June, I was working almost 7 days a week. And again, we talk about sacrifice you have to make. Laura's not best pleased because she's also been busy at work all week and she wants a husband at home for the weekend with the kids. And I have to, make that sacrifice that I have to go and put a shift in here. I have to get this off the ground. I can't let people down. And so that came a lot quicker. And for anyone that thinks starting up a business, you can then just dominate your own working hours and do as you please. And no, you're 24/7.
Yeah, you're dominated by customers coming to you.
Absolutely.
Whatever time they call, you will work, and you never take anything for granted after
that. And
the
trouble with that, as we know now in the process, if you go out and work all day, all of those jobs that you did have to either be invoiced, or if even half of them were call outs and you have to quote the remedial actions, then I had to do that at night time.
Yeah.
So not only was I then getting in at 7, 8 o'clock at night and missing the kids' bedtime, I was then sat at our dinner table trying to do quotations on Word. And it was new to me as well. So I was learning how do I word this? How do I price this?
Whilst also trying to recover from a day in extreme heat, working on a rooftop, or doing things that normal humans aren't designed to do. You then need to sit there and work into the evening.
And at the same time, answering your phone during the day, messaging people back during the day because they're inquiring for work for the next day and the next day and the next week.
Yeah.
It got to the point where people were messaging me and willing to wait 3 weeks just for me to look at their AC. And I think that's the point where I was like, people must either think I'm really good or everyone else must be really bad.
Yeah.
I like to think it's the first option, but people were willing to wait so much that I thought, this is fantastic. But I quickly realized this is actually really bad because there's going to become a point where people will not wait just because it's me, and it's actually quite a poor service. This should be turned around a lot quicker.
And we've said this many times before again, that it's for somebody that owns a business or is in control of that, that is the biggest compliment that you can have, that people are willing to wait. And for you, the safety and security, knowing that, well, I've got work for 3 weeks. I'm solid for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm great.
It was
but
really
as you said,
reassuring.
The customer's perspective, they're potentially without AC for 3 weeks, which is not acceptable.
Yeah.
But it's a constant battling act between, you want to have work booked in for tomorrow, for the next 3 days, for the next week, because you can see that continuity. But equally, if you go to a job to diagnose something and they need a quick fix, you want to be able to say, I can come back tomorrow.
Exactly,
but you never can.
Yeah.
You can never get there.
I'd tell you what, though, it did put more pressure on me to fix things there and then.
Of course.
Which is ultimately what the attitude is now, which has helped us get such a good reputation even to today.
Because you didn't want to have to say to them, I can fix it, but you're going to be 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, some things you can't, you've got to order in some parts, but I started to sort of build up a little bit of a stockpile in the truck so that I could fix these common issues really quickly.
Okay. So then sort of just to end on that side of the first year, during the summer, obviously, as you said, there was times where people waiting 3 weeks, which is a hell of a long time. You must have by that point thought, I've got something here, like this works.
Yeah.
But then going from that point of, right, it's me on my own with a 3 week waiting list.
Yeah.
It's very easy, I think, to sit there complacent and think, this is cool. I can do this. Like, I'm earning decent money here.
Yeah.
More than I ever thought I could. But you still need to have that drive and persistence then to think, well, no, I need to now employ people. I need somebody to help me. I need help in this area. I need help in that area.
Yeah.
So
So from day one, I always said, whatever money I make as a profit, I will always pay myself just under 50% of that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first month, I made 25,000 dirham, and I think I paid myself 10,000 dirham, which was enough then to put towards the rent, put towards the food, the kids, and everything like that. And I carried on that because I knew in my mind that this wasn't just a one-man band that I wanted to create here. I needed to employ other people further down the line and be bigger and better. So I always thought I need to put that back into the business. If my truck breaks, I can afford to fix it. If I need to buy a new one, I can afford to buy a new one.
Yeah.
If I get to the end of the year and I've sustained this, I'll be able to afford a new van and an employee. So
And
I
is
always
that
had
when
that
you
in mind.
did you wait until the end of that first year? So 2019, summer came and sort of went
Yeah.
by yourself.
Yeah.
And then was it the end of 2019 where you then decided to reinvest the money that you'd made
Yeah.
and get an employee with a van to then help you sort
Yeah.
of preparing into the next year, which would have been 2020?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it got towards the end of the year, and again because you're getting into November, December, the workload did quieten down. I had time to breathe again, try and recover from such a busy year that I'd had, which I'm forever grateful for. And then I reassessed the situation. I actually went round. I remember it distinctly. I went round to Matt, who I initially said about setting up the business with. Went round to his house one evening, and we were writing down on a paper. Again, I referenced earlier, he's smarter than me. So we sat down and we went through the numbers. Right, if you employ someone, this is what it's going to cost. And we based it off of the revenue that I'd made, but took off 40% because, as we know, like I almost killed myself, quite literally, a couple of times in that first year. No, I don't expect anyone else to go to that level for me.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of care here. So I took off 40%. That person will probably work to 60% of what I did, which I think would be acceptable. And we based the numbers off of that, and I thought, yeah, that could work. That could really work. Having employed this person, South African guy, he was very technical, very, very good. I enjoyed working with him a lot. I learned from him as well. He was a massive help, but I found very soon, like in the next couple of months, I thought, right, there's me and him on a job, and we may have been doing something like a duct clean where there is no real technical knowledge that's needed, and I'm turning people away because they're calling me up saying, oh, I've had 10 companies around, no one can find the problem, can you come? And I'm like, oh no, we're too busy, I can't get there. So I was like, we're wasting so much knowledge on this job, we need to be utilizing it. So I quickly employed the second person to then help the first one. So then that freed me up to go and do the more technical stuff, which then helped. Now, employing the first person was so difficult. I'm going around Matt's house, I'm working out the numbers, I'm being really cautious, I'm in an R-ing, I'm not quite sure. Took me ages to make a decision, finally did it. As soon as I realised I need a second one, although I obviously made sure we employed the right person, it was very quick and easy to do.
Yeah.
I got the second one in. And that then freed up me, as I say, to do the more technical stuff. At that point, it wasn't even really about the money. It was about getting to these customers that want a good service, and me being able to pay the salaries to the guys. As long as I had some residue money to put back into the investment fund, as I called it at the time, that was fine. If I took 2,000 or 3,000 dirham each month, fine. It was going back in to try and create this business.
Which is important to note there, that you're already at this stage talking about reinvestment and, it's not about the money, it's about getting to the clients. You're only just over a year into starting this, whereas a year previously you was unemployed, questioning whether this was even a thing.
Yeah.
Can you start it? I haven't got the money. How am I going to get the money? Oh, I've got the money.
Yeah.
I've got the trade license. How am I going to get work? So now you're a year down the line, and now you're not even worried about money anymore. You're worried about what your customers are experiencing, how you're getting to them.
It was always at the forefront of mind. As I referenced earlier, when I'm working for these larger companies, I had no customer satisfaction, which is what I really thrive off, that customer interaction and satisfaction. And now I was getting it in abundance, but I was letting people down because we couldn't get there quick enough, or they wanted me and I couldn't come. So then to be able to now get these guys on the road allowed me to get this customer satisfaction to all these people that were waiting. So that really helped. And I always had it in mind that I need to reinvest, because my goal was to get 4 vans on the road, 4 teams. That was my goal. I thought, if I can get 4 vans on the road, perfect. We can make a nice little bit of money. I can manage it. Headaches will be limited. That'd be fine. But this same mentality, as we know now, just of trying to keep up with the demand, just pushed it along. And once you achieve something, like we say about getting the trade license, starting a business, once you achieve that, you're like, I can do that. Now you get confidence and move on to the next thing. When I employed people, I didn't even know how to do WPS.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Why do I have to do that?
Can I not just bank transfer the salary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or give them
Like,
cash.
How do I do that? I was
Yeah.
doing it in the most old fashioned way at the time. I was physically going down to Alan Sari and getting them to do it all and just giving them notes,
Yeah.
and then they were doing it all. Obviously now we have a far more sophisticated way and easier way of doing it, but at the time I didn't know what to do.
So I think after the first year, there's you move into the second year, and you've kind of touched on, you know, bits there where your struggles and your issues were nothing to do with starting a business or money or anything. It was more operational based efficiency. I think I'd like to go into that more maybe another time on a different sit down. And I'm happy that we've just covered this first year. The last thing I'm interested to know from you is, during that first year, what would be your top 1, 2, or 3 things that you either learned or struggled with during that first year that you still reference back to today as a huge lesson that you've taken through to where we are now?
I think one of the things is not to be so scared of like changing technologies and the way you do things. I was doing everything manually. It's amazing how much you can learn when you're under pressure. But to then change the way you've done something that you've just learned for the first time, it's very hard because it feels like you have to learn again. I'm far more open to that now. I never used to be. I used to do everything very, very manual, and it was very time consuming. So that was more of an admin side of things. So now I'm far more open to change and technology and anything that can help us be smoother, quicker. We're open to and we take on board. Physically being on the job, there was 2 times in particular where, I mean, I don't want to sound dramatic, but certainly one of them, I felt that I could have died. Like genuinely.
From the heat?
Yeah. From the work and the heat. Genuinely really put myself in a dangerous position. And I was all alone. And I was on a roof that was really, really poor access. And at that moment, I was like, if I ever employ someone, I really have to make sure that they are taken care of better than what I'm looking after myself right now. Work in twos for a start, so that if the heat did catch you out, you've got a partner to help you or watch you and say, right, let's have a break. But also to make sure that they have the access to shade, hydration, regular breaks, adhere to the UAE summer working hours that I wasn't doing, and put myself in a bad position. So that's one of the major things that I learned before I'd even employed someone, that actually there is a massive responsibility for you as a company owner, for the people that work for you. I put myself in positions that I would never ask the guys to do, but because I put myself in there, I can appreciate them.
But yeah, I think like we can both appreciate, we've both started a very similar way. We've both done the work ourselves for a significant period of time. We know what it takes to go out there during the summer months from May through to October and work day in, day out. There's a lot of things that we've implemented to try and ensure that we don't put our guys in situations like that by overworking them, making the schedule unrealistic, you know, giving them adequate hydration, as you said, working in twos, take a break. There's a lot of things in there that we've learned from the start. And I think ultimately you set the precedent by starting it yourself. I learned myself and from you at the same time, being 2 years behind. But there's a lot of things in there that we've learned together to carry on forward to where we are today.
Yeah. One of the other things actually, which was a learning curve, was actually not being afraid to get help in. We talk about this demand on the phone, the work, reacting to people's needs. Now, my phone was going ridiculously, like in the summer. It was forever beeping from messages, calling from people. And it got to the point where I couldn't respond to them quick enough and do the work. And I think it was the second summer, it was overwhelming. And I remember coming home late one evening and just sat with the phone in front of me, and I was just showing Laura. I said, look at all these messages that have come through. I said, I responded to these before I started my journey home. And now look how many messages have come through. One, it's a great thing because the business is thriving. But 2, it was just overwhelming. And I said to Laura, I can't get to all of these people. I'm letting these people down. It hurt. And this happened several times. There was one evening, and I'm not ashamed to say I actually cried because I couldn't get to these people, and I felt like I just overworked myself. I couldn't produce this service that I wanted to do, and I felt like I couldn't like carry on like this. I felt like the business is going to go under because I'm failing, because I just couldn't keep up with the demand.
But when you feel that you're giving 100% to everything and you can't get the outcome that these people want, and the anxiety of having to then message them back and say, sorry, I can't, to be received with maybe some negative words or anything to sort of say, that's ridiculous, it's crazy, how can I wait? You know,
it got to the point where people were online saying, you know, if there was a request for a good air conditioning engineer, I've got a serious problem, people would actually comment saying, don't bother calling Expat AC because Paul can't get there for 3 weeks. And I was like, geez.
So then that's obviously you turn the negative into something positive. And once you get out the other side of that and think, well, okay, I can either stand here and cry and get my head down about it and beat myself up about it and doubt everything, or you turn it around and say, well, actually, no, I need help.
I need some help.
I need somebody to come in and help me here so I can get to people. And identifying that, I think identifying cracks in your business is probably one thing that we now do every single day. I remember
when you were in a similar position with your phone, and I was saying to you, mate, you have to get some help because you'll break. And I could sense that you were almost at that same point as I was. But because I'd been there, I was able to say, get some help, get some help.
And I think at the time we're the kind of people that you're proud. No, I can do it. I can do this. I can do it myself. I don't need help. I can do this. But then you very quickly go from that to breaking point like that. It really is quick. And obviously, forever grateful that I had you that 2 years ahead of me. We've been through very similar journeys, and you were there to see them things happening and give me the nudge before and to be like, look, don't you know, don't
it's crazy to think that we're talking about something 4 years ago where we both had phone in our hand responding to people. Fast forward 4 years and that same number is getting abused with requests for us to go and work for people. It's incredible, but we've got 4 people that work full time just to respond to these people. And if somebody isn't messaged back within an hour, sometimes that we consider slow, but they can't because the demand is still there. So it's just incredible to see how what I thought was so busy, and I was messaging in between jobs, whereas now we have 4 people full time responding to that same number, and they're just about keeping up in the peak.
It's crazy. It's like you said, it's 4 years down the line. It's 4 or 5 years down the line. It's incredible to see where it is and where it come. But I think we'll wrap it up there for this one. We've covered a lot on the first year of your experiences there. Maybe next time we'll go more into the sort of second year phase of going from yourself into multiple people, somebody on the phone. Turning it into a business. From a one-man band, you've got that. You've proven the concept, it's working. Then moving on the next phases. And then, I can share my story as well, from moving over here to meeting you to starting more on the plumbing side of the business. And we'll keep it rolling through to hopefully where we are now. And then what we're looking forward to coming through in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, it was good. Nice to reminisce.
Good. Thanks for tuning in.